Hey guys, in this video we're going to be starting Unit 4 and we're going to be learning about systems of equations. You probably learned about them in Algebra 1, so hopefully some of this will be a review for you and you'll feel pretty confident about this unit. So to get started, we want to look at, what is a system of equations? And a system is just two or more linear equations. So lines, we have two or more lines, and we are looking at the place where they cross. And there's three types of systems that we'll see. The first one is whenever we have intersecting lines. Lines that cross. And they're going to cross at just one spot. And the place where they cross is called a solution. And intersecting lines, because they cross at one spot, they have one solution. Then let's look at parallel lines. Parallel lines are two lines with the same slope. They're never going to cross. They never intersect, which means that they have no solution. Then let's say that I give you two equations of a line, and those two equations are identical, which means they're the same line, which means that every single point would be a solution, literally every point. And that means that we have infinite solutions. All right, so let's get started. And the first method that we're going to look at for finding the solution or solving these systems is by graphing. This is handy when you've got lines that are in slope-intercept form and you've got a graph to actually graph on. So what you need to remember is y equals mx plus b, and that means that our m is the slope and the b is the y-intercept. You should be familiar with that. You learned that in Algebra 1. So let's get started. We have two lines. The first one, I'm going to box in here. The slope is 4 over 3. And the y-intercept is 2. When we graph, you always start by putting a point on the y-intercept, and then you move based on your slope. So slope is rise over run. The rise means we're going up or down. So the top number means up or down. The bottom number is going to tell us to go left or right. So a positive 4 means we're going to go up 4, and a positive 3 means we're going to go right 3. So if I try to go up 4, I'm going to end up outside of the graph. So sometimes it doesn't work. And what you do is you can change the direction. But if you change the direction, you have to change both of them. So this becomes a down and a left. So we're going to go down 4, left 3, and put a point. And then we can connect those. Oops, I don't want blue. And we get a line. Then we're going to look at the other line. This one has a slope of 1/3 and a y-intercept of -1. So I'm going to put my point on -1, and that tells me I'm going to go up 1, right 3. I could switch the direction and go down 1, left 3, and that gives me the point where they cross. So I'm going to connect those. From this point where they cross, that is called the solution. And so my solution is the point -3, -2. The x is first and then the y. So -3, -2 is my solution. Let's move on to number 2. My first line has a y-intercept of 4 and a slope of 1/3. That means I'm going to go up 1, right 3. Or I could switch and go down and left. You can switch directions as long as you switch both of them. That was my first one. My second line, I start at -3, that's my y-intercept. And then if we put a 1 under that -2, it makes it a fraction, which is what we need for slope. So I'm going to go down 2, right 1. Or I could go the opposite ways, up 2, left 1. And keep this going until you actually hit that intersecting point. That helps you be more precise and make sure that you did it correctly. If you don't get a point where they intersect, then you didn't do it correctly. And so this point is the point -3, 3. Let's move on to number 3. So for number 3, I'd like for you to pause the video and try it out yourself. See if you can figure it out without my guidance. All right, number 3, I'm going to quickly go through this one. We have a point on -1, and then our slope is 2/3. Second one, we have a point on 3, and then our slope is 2. And we see that they intersect at -3, -3. Number 4, if you look at these equations, you're like, oh no, those look different, and they do. They are not in slope-intercept form. So we have to convert them to slope-intercept form. So I'm going to write those out. 4x plus 3y equals 9. That's my first one. So we'll work with that one first. My goal is to get y by itself. So I'm going to subtract this entire 4x from both sides. That leaves me with 3y equals. A lot of times people want to write 5x here because 9 minus 4 is 5. However, those are not like terms, so you can't do that. We have to just to keep them written separately. And so what you want to do is we want to make sure that that x is first. So we're going to write the negative 4x first, and then I'm going to do that plus 9 on to the right of that. Because slope-intercept form always has the x first. And then I have to divide by 3, and that means that I divide everything by 3. So y equals negative 4/3 x plus 3. So that's the first line. Now I'm going to go ahead and fix the equation for the second line before I do any graphing. So follow the same steps. We're going to subtract x from both sides. So negative y equals negative x plus 4. And then I'm going to divide everything by negative 1. And that gives me y equals x minus 4. So now we're going to get into the graphing. First one, start with my y-intercept of 3. And I'm going to go down 4, right 3. And that's all that I can get to. Then the second one, negative 4 is my y-intercept, and it's a slope of, did I do something wrong? Oh, no, okay, I'm good. Slope of 1, so we're going to keep moving, slope of 1. And we can see where they cross. It's the point 3, negative 1. All right, so let's move on to number 5. One of these is in slope-intercept form, but one is not. 3x plus 6y equals negative 12. Start by subtracting the 3x. Six y equals negative 3x minus 12. And then divide by, oh my goodness. And then divide by 6. And we get y equals negative 1/2 x minus 2. You may notice something. You may notice that these have the same slope. So that should give you a hint as to what our graphs are going to look like. But in case you didn't see that, that's okay. Let's start with this first one. Negative 2 is my y-intercept, and then negative 1/2 slope. Down 1 over 2, or up 1, left 2. Doesn't matter. And then our next one, This one, -5, and it had a slope of -1/2. So I can't go down, so I'm going to go up and left, up and left. And I see that these lines never crossed. Now, I said before, if your lines never cross, it could be that you mess it up. And I mean that if your lines are clearly not parallel and they don't cross, then you probably messed it up. But these are parallel lines because they have the same slope, which means that they have no solution. All right, last one, number 6. We have 2 lines that we need to fix. -y equals -x minus 6. All that I have to do on this one is divide by -1. Now the other one, I'm going to flip-flop these 2 spots and make it 3y equals 3x plus 18. That doesn't really change anything. And then all I have to do is divide by 3. And what do you notice about these 2 lines? They are identical, which means they're the exact same line, which means that we're going to have infinite solutions. All right, if you have any questions on any of this, make sure that you reach out and you email me or ask me, and I am more than happy to help you out with this. Have a good day.